And this is how we welcome you to Artistic Spot, a show about art, talent, and entrepreneurship, where you are also the artist. In Artistic Spot, we're actors of our movies, singers of our musicals, and writers of our books. Today, we have a very special guest and a very special edition of Artistic Spot. We're joined by the artist and digital creator, Mike Alfaro. Thank you, Mike, for joining us in Artistic Spot tonight.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful intro that you just did. That's all up the, yeah, I love all that. It's about us making our own stuff and us driving our own culture forward. So I'm all about that.
Now, speaking about us making our own stuff, being the writer of our stories, the writers of our songs, the protagonists of our movies, talk to us a little bit about Mike. You're originally from Guatemala. You're currently living in Los Angeles, California, but you created this wonderful Millennial Loteria and brought an ancient game to a new generation. Talk to us a little bit about that before we move forward on the surprise we have with DC and the upcoming movie Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so Loteria for me is very nostalgic, especially now because I grew up playing it. Like a lot of Latinos all around Mexico, Centro America. Loteria is a part of life of growing up, and it's one of those Latino games that a few of them, that we still hold dear into our heart. And so I remember, being back home before I created Loteria and looking at my old Loteria set in my room and finding it. Probably next to my comics, to be honest with you, finding my old Loteria set and seeing like La Dama and seeing how outdated that representation for like a Latino woman would be, where I would think today it'd be more like La Feminist, someone who resembles more, like my friend, my mom, my sister, like even like this Latino representation that's like very modern. And so to me, to be able to do something with Loteria that modernizes that to be, now it's La Feminist, connects with a lot of younger people that want to experience this tradition that maybe they didn't experience as much because of, the rise of social media, or, you started playing games on your PS5 instead of Loteria. And so I think this is a fun game to get people to have a little bit of that like nostalgic heritage feeling of growing up, but also in a modern, cool way that they can share with their friends, and it's funny and they can laugh about it and make it a drinking game. So I think it's a really good way to get people back into the tradition of Loteria.
For those people in our audience that do not know what Loteria is actually about, can you tell us a little bit about the game? We spoke before that it dates from centuries ago, but can you tell us a little bit about how you brought that to life in the present and what the game is all about?
Yeah, so I would love to. Loteria is super easy to play. It's one of those games that you play it once and you'll never forget how to do it, because it's essentially like bingo, but instead of like balls and numbers, it has cards with images on it that represent part of life, and so it's really easy to play. Where someone call in our version, we have el influencer, which is the person that calls the cards out and influences everybody to put it on their board. In normal Loteria, le llamamos el cantor, el cantante, or the person that's calling out the cards. And so for me, translating these traditions into a more modern way of twisting it into being el influencer, or el valiente is now el TikTok, or all these things that were modernized, that allowed us to get people to like this game a lot more and feel connected to it, because they might be like, oh, like I don't relate to this guy with a bloody knife, el valiente, but I do relate to this guy dancing on TikTok. So that's a little bit more like a feeling like, okay, I can connect with that. And I wanted to bring a positive representation of Latinos too with the game. I wanted to showcase us as creators, as influencers, as people who are out there, making their dreams come true, and that people want to aspire to be. And that was a big part of updating this game as well, because I think women don't really just aspire to be La Dama anymore. And so I think that was a big thing that is important to people.
Yes. So besides being someone that was able to bring an important game as Loteria to a whole new generation, what can you tell the Latinx community in the United States? Because this game has been sold out on the West Coast, especially in California, which is amazing. So what can you tell that audience, those Latinx communities in the United States? It doesn't matter where you come from, the importance of following your dreams and that you can make a change and make things happen.
Well, I think it's, for me, I know you said that we sold out in California, but we did sell out in California, and then it started rolling over across the country to the point where we were sold out in Alabama, Nebraska, and I was like, what? And so, but I realized that there's so many Latinos here in the United States, and we have been so underrepresented in the media and in, on the game aisle. To be honest with you, now that Millennial Loteria is one of the only games there that has a Latino twist to it. Or it is made for Latinos too. I think we forget that we are a big community in the United States, and we have a lot of power. And I think with stuff like this that reflects our culture and is for our culture, when these games sell out at Target, it showcases the power that we have, and also the desire that we have for people to represent us in our community and give us stuff that we want, instead of following the lead for years have been just really like, Americans, just telling us what the games we need to be playing, or making fun of us for, bringing Loteria instead of Monopoly. And now I see people being like, yeah, I want to bring Loteria to the party, Millennial Loteria, because it's going to be a lot more fun.
I think you have done a great job and an outstanding job representing people from Guatemala, from your country, but also from Latin America as a community. And I really appreciate that, and I congratulate you for that. Before we move forward, Mike, I want you to tell us the story behind this collaboration and this special edition of Loteria with the Suicide Squad theme, with the upcoming hitting theaters at HBO Max tomorrow.
Yes, I am super excited. I was a huge nerd growing up. I still am, if you can't tell by my glasses and what I do for a living. But when this opportunity came about, I had to jump on it, because the Suicide Squad just has so many iconic characters that I thought could be turned into so many Loteria cards. I mean, because the thing about Loteria is like that the cards are so iconic that if you're going to make a version with like a movie, it has to be something that has these iconic characters that are funny, that people love, and they're a little bit out there too, because that's the fun of it, And so I think this collaboration was amazing for me, because I just, when would we ever get to make a card for, El King Shark, this like amazing character that's like a shark with a dad bod that I'm like, yeah, let's draw this. I'm so into it. Let's make this happen. And our team here was just, when we got, when we started working on the files and started working on the designs, everyone on our team was just super, super excited, because it is a dream come true to have something that's, nerdy for Latinos, something that, the Latino comic book fans is for us and for them, and have that representation, because I think there's so many Latino comic book fans out there, and like superhero movies and DC movies specifically out there, that I wanted to do something for that community, and because I'm part of that, and I wanted something for us.
And what's next after all this milestones? Because this opportunity is just amazing, and I feel really honored to have you in our show today telling your story. But what's next for you, for Mike, after Loteria, this special edition with the Suicide Squad, and this collab with Warner Brothers, and the movie coming up tomorrow night on HBO and theaters? What can you tell our audience? What's next for you? What can they expect?
I think you should expect for us to branch out into different things that you might have not expected recently for Loteria. For instance, we are doing our first puzzle that's coming out in November. So you could, I think puzzles were so big for us right now, especially during the pandemic. Like I was working on puzzles, and I was like, we should make a Loteria puzzle. I think that would be really fun. And so that's coming out as well in November. And then in October, we have our first tarot deck set. That's Millennial Loteria edition. But for all the brujitos and brujitas out there, it's this tarot deck that is combining the tradition of tarot with the tradition of Loteria in a really fun, cool way to help people reclaim that Latinx magic. And so I think that'll be really, really cool for us. And it's really expanding into things that really speak to us. I always tell people that I'm not creating culture. I'm just reflecting culture. That's really all that we're doing. So if, I know you asked me earlier, maybe I didn't answer it as well, about what we can tell Latino audiences about, or about what they're trying to make it, or Latino creators. It's really just about reflecting your life, reflecting what is going on with you. And that'll connect with people, because for me, Loteria, like Millennial Loteria, is so based on my experiences, and every card has like some story behind it of why I decided to change it, who it reminds me of. And I think that, hopefully one day we can tell that story in a visual medium, and maybe instead of like turning, a movie into a Loteria set, we can turn a Millennial Loteria set into a TV show or into something else, and expand that. And again, I think that would be really fun for representation, and maybe that's something that can happen in the future. But that's what we're working towards.
That's amazing. And now, Mike, speaking a little bit more about you within the small minutes that we still have together, how do you want to be remembered? You're being and setting up a milestone, creating this amazing opportunity for a millennial generation to have access to a game that our parents or grandparents and even great-grandparents played back in time. How do you want to be remembered among the Latinx community, and especially in Guatemala, in your country?
I think it's really important to me that people know that, I think for me, the American dream was something that I came to the United States chasing, that I came here, and it took a lot of hard work, to achieve it. But I think that I hope that people remember me as someone who's a hard worker, and who really hustled to get what they want. But at the end of the day too, the thing that I love about Millennial Loteria and having this, family-friendly edition now at Target, is that there's so many millennials that are playing this with their kids, like with the next generation, and to them, this is now like the Loteria they were first introduced to. This is the Loteria that they remember. And it's part of this tradition that Loteria has always evolved throughout the years. Loteria has always changed. Like if you go back like hundreds of years, Loteria had different cards, and it's evolved as generations move on. And so this is just a big part of that. So this is just another step in that natural evolution that Loteria has had. And I'm just honored to have been, play a little part of it, and to see where it goes in the future as well.
Now, Mike, where can people follow you and discover more of your story with the Millennial Loteria, and also who you are as an artist and as an important part of the Latinx community?
You can follow us on Instagram at Millennial Loteria, or on TikTok as well at Millennial Loteria. We have about almost 70,000 fans on Instagram and 102,000 on TikTok. And so I think it's a big community of people who love Latino stuff, who love having fun. And so I think you can follow us there. And that's also one of the only places that you will be able to win one of the Suicide Squad sets on the weekend of the movie's release. So please follow us at Millennial Loteria on Instagram and TikTok, and you could win one of these awesome exclusive. It's going to be a collector's item for sure. So if you can get your hands on one, I say you're lucky. You're very lucky.
You are lucky. And thank you very much, Mike, for joining us in Artistic Spot in this special edition of the episode. Can you invite our audience to watch the movie tomorrow, streaming on HBO Max and theaters?
I would love to invite everyone to watch the Suicide Squad. I watched it on my computer like a long time ago to be able to make this set, but I'm so excited to go watch it on the big screen. I just can't wait to do that. So please go watch it. It's super funny. It's hilarious. And I would love to play this game, Millennial Loteria, of Suicide Squad Edition, watching the movie, because then when the characters die in the movie, I can just cross them off my little board and then maybe yell Loteria at the end.
Thank you, Mike, for joining us in this special episode of Artistic Spot. It has been a pleasure to tell your story. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you, our audience, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, RJJ Design, on Facebook, JJ Arts and Design. Subscribe to our Artistic Spot YouTube channel. And don't forget to tune us back in next week in Artistic Spot, where you are also the artist.